the back, the VOD and the silver screen. Kevin and Tom and Joe know all there is to know, from masterpieces to deep fried tacos. And if the movie sucks, you might hear them say, there's no telling where the guys will take you. Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, cause we already warned you. Better watch out, it's gonna ruin the plot. Real spoilers. Real spoilers. Real spoilers.
Broadcasting from the lush but not lavish studios located in the basement of the O'Keefe Institute for Advanced Film Snarkitude, this is Real Spoilers, episode 780, Lisa Frankenstein.
No, this way.
Yeah.
That's kind of insulting to that movie. I don't think we should.
You're crazy.
I'm crazy?
Yeah.
No, you're crazy.
No way.
What?
No way.
Well, I don't know what we're fighting about.
I think this movie's great.
Do you?
Yes.
It was okay.
I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was very funny.
Yeah. I mean, but it's not on a level of Young Frankenstein.
No,
Yeah.
of course not.
I think that's his point.
That's fair.
Allow me to mediate.
Weird. I just went through that.
It's the last episode of Real Spoilers. We're all breaking up.
Is that what ends it?
Yeah.
Is that
It's
I gotta
Lisa
tell you,
Frankenstein.
when you talk to a mediator, it sure as is.
Oh, do it the old-fashioned fist fight way. I have a kid that'll be 20 in August, and I'm still in court.
That's crazy, dude.
Still in court.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, here's all my
Are
bank
they going to
statements.
film it?
Oh, God, I wish.
Reality show?
They might. They might. I mean, some courtrooms have, you see them on TV, but some courtrooms
That's true.
do have
there's
video
a whole,
cameras.
There's a whole show on A&E, which you can watch on Hulu, which I highly recommend because it's a blast, called Court Cam.
Yep.
And it's just footage of weird things that happen in court. And and it's family court, traffic court. Like, they almost all have cameras anymore.
All of the above.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Someone's just watching those to see what
Well,
can
I
they
mean,
do.
they're curated to have
In
like the
case
crazy
there's-
stuff happens.
Right, but if there's an incident,
Yes.
I don't think they're there to catalog the trial as much
no,
as
you've got a court reporter for that.
it's more just like if something goes wrong, they have film for evidence.
I got to tell you, that's an unsung profession.
Court
The
reporter.
court,
I
because
can't believe it still exists.
There's all kinds of different versions of it, though.
Yeah.
Like the entire time I worked in that world, there were people that would talk into like a little microphone and they're just repeating what they're hearing. Then you've got other people who are just like tick, 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 like typing away, and it's like
a stenographer.
right.
Yeah.
But like still, it's shorthand, but still like watching them. I remember like watching this woman
You make serious bank.
big time.
That's so cool to
and
see
it's
how
not,
that works.
And it's not just like where they make their. I'll tell you where they make their money.
The depositions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they're privately hired.
Oh, yeah.
That's where it is.
But do you see, so they don't do shorthand anymore now, the ones on computers. They have a keyboard that has a certain amount of letters, and they press down at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's not that little shorthand quick. It's like this.
No, some of them still do it. Still do this.
But I'm guessing the modern people.
Yeah. But they also
It's
use
so cool.
what's the like talk to type stuff? Like there's a program.
Like Dragon Naturally
Yeah.
Speaking 14.
Sure. But that's what they like. They've got a laptop set up.
Dictaphone?
Yeah.
It's so funny. Yeah. But they've got like a laptop and they speak into it and it just goes. And it's like, man, that's
Like a pigeon comes and picks it up and then carries it to the.
Okay, but if they're repeating what's being said,
They just
why,
listen to the
why
audio?
can't they just have the thing listen to the court?
because then
It's a union thing.
maybe I don't know if it's a union thing. I have no idea. I
Yeah.
don't know how any of that
But
works.
yeah, like, I don't know why a court reporter still exists. If there are any court reporters listening, we'd love
Let
to
us
know. Why do you still exist?
I'm glad you still exist.
Yeah, good for
because
you.
Make
take
that
your
money.
job.
Make
But like
that
you
money.
think in today's world, like just film it, throw it on a thumb drive, call
or
it a day.
put it, microphones and speakers.
Yeah.
And boom. That's it.
I don't know.
Uh-huh.
It mystifies me. But anyway, so yeah, I'm back in
bud.
court
Well,
for
best of
an
luck.
honest to God, old fashioned trial.
That's why.
Your Honor, if
Yeah.
I may.
Yeah.
Oh, get Brendan Fraser
Oh man.
Oh my God.
to just yell at the.
Just yelling at the judge.
Foghorn, leghorn. Yeah.
Your Honor.
Yeah.
I say.
So anyway, let's go around the table and we'll introduce ourselves.
This is Joe.
This is Kevin.
And this is Tom. Quick shameless plugs. Don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, iHeart, TuneIn. Wherever you find a podcast, you can find us while you're there. Be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review if you're so inclined. We'd love to hear it if it's something nice.
Even if it's not, I mean,
No, we would not love to hear that.
that's true.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
don't
they
know,
could do
reviews,
it.
That's in YouTube comments.
Yeah.
Go to the YouTube
I mean, they can
comments.
do it. We're not going to stop
That's
it.
fair,
But we would not love it.
No.
No. And so,
We need that engagement. That does not help us for reviews.
I guess that's
but
true. Yeah, we do
comments,
need
comments,
comments
share.
away.
Yeah. So you can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/realspoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group. It's called the League of Show Sharers because we are hoping you will share an episode with your friends and or loved ones, and maybe they'll listen too. So people who were kind enough to share an episode this week include Glenn Cougar Mellon Brewer, Tammy Lynn Powers Betts, Richard Krotzer, Tom Dowdy, Travis Tewitt, Julianne Jordan, Ralph Tribble, Chris Valls, Gabriel Lugo, Chris Magic Man, Dissect That Film, Heather Sachs, Taylor Ward, Binge Movies, Spoiler Piece Theater, Invasion of the Remake, David Rojas, Jalen Sala, The Kryptonian Orphan, Colby Mack, Ryan Terry, Geek to Me Radio, Matt Naglia, Ronnie Castle, Mike and Oscar, Nostalgia Cast, and In Session Film. So thank you very much for sharing an episode. We greatly appreciate it. And also don't forget, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/real spoilers, where for $5 a month, it all blurs together.
I know, it's fair.
Or for $5 a month, you get all sorts of bonus content, and we like you extra.
Thor is out there. We just recorded Captain America, the first Avenger, and we've got the Avengers coming up soon. And then I've tossed some ideas out to the boys to see if we could, at least get some sort of a schedule for that damn thing.
Yeah, all the ideas that weren't horror are fine.
It's a horror movie podcast, Kevin. That's what that is. So deal with it.
Okay. And then also don't forget you can watch all
Taking
of
you to court.
you can watch all of these over on YouTube. So there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
So I think for me, I grew up with.
You love necrophilia.
Oh my God.
Get it.
Fair.
It's okay. This is a safe space.
I didn't know how I was going to respond to that, other than just like, no, I
This
don't.
is the internet.
I
It's
guess
a
that's a
safe
very
space.
simple. It's a very simple answer.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
If I
But
deny it too quick, will
there was this when I was like a preteen, like from 11 to like 13, 14. There was this run of kind of like these goofy horror comedies.
Yeah.
Right. So there was
Outcasts,
there was the
kinda.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer, My Boyfriend's Back, Once Bitten. So there were these horror like
So I married an
adjacent
axe murder.
Dracula Dead and Loving
Dracula.
It.
Yeah. So I Married an Axe Murderer is a great example. A little bit. Heathers, like Heathers was also like sort of
This has a bit of a Heathers vibe.
bit of a
to it.
Heathers vibe.
Yeah.
It has a lot.
I wouldn't consider Heathers a horror comedy, but
No, I guess not.
But this does have a little bit of that vibe going on.
Yeah, and it also there's a lot of Tim Burton here.
Yeah.
There's a
Well,
lot
Edward
of,
Scissorhands has to
lot
be
of
the
Edward
largest
Scissorhands.
inspiration.
I mean, honestly, this movie gives me a lot of respect for a movie like Edward Scissorhands. Tim Burton's not really my jam.
Me either.
He's made some things I've liked.
Yeah.
Sure. But like the whole time I was watching this movie, I was like, I wish this was in the hands of a better director.
That is ultimately the problem. And no offense to Zelda Williams, the daughter of Robin Williams. This is her first movie ever. I'm thinking maybe this was a little bit too much to take on for your first film.
Diablo Cody, I think,
And this has got to be one of
is-
the worst Diablo Cody scripts.
No.
I think the script.
No.
Yes. This
No.
is-
I like
young adult is the worst.
I liked Young
Oh
Adult.
God, I hated that movie.
But I mean, overall, I liked the script. I liked what it was doing. I think what makes you feel that way is that this movie needed to be a lot more stylized.
Yeah.
And
I could see
I
that,
think if
yeah.
this movie had more of a fingerprint from the
Yes.
director, obviously Tim Burton's not
Burton is
going to make this movie,
but it's a good example.
But Tim Burton doing this movie would really add a level of set design and just it he creates these whole worlds where you don't ask yourself questions like,
why is it
so
weird? But it looks weird. It just is like
you're like, I'm in a weird fantasy world,
Yeah,
and that's the logic here.
I think Beetlejuice is another one where it's like just the whole like the house and the set design or like the way the house is, when they do the models and things like that. It is just weird.
Everything
You
that
just
he
accept
does until like big fish or big eyes or big whatever he likes to do. Everything has that vibe to it, right? Like you can look at a movie and be
I
like,
don't think
that's
Sleepy
Tim Burton.
Hollow has that.
I think you look at Sleepy Hollow and
You
there
could
are
see that.
definitely
I think you
elements
could
where
see
you're
that it's
like,
a Tim
that's
Burton
weird.
movie for sure. But
That's what I'm saying.
Don't
Like,
think it's like Edward Scissorhands or Beetlejuice.
But you can look at a Tim Burton movie, early Tim Burton, and you're like, that's a Tim Burton movie. And I think that is part of the problem. There's probably two things at play. One, the movie feels a little stale, like it doesn't have that vibe to it. Like it doesn't.
What was
have
your
that
audience
look.
like?
I loved them. I thought they were great. Probably one of the best audiences I've ever.
Are you being
known.
serious?
Yeah.
But I mean, like,
he was in there by himself.
oh,
I saw this movie with no one else.
okay. So I honestly,
I think there were like 6 people in my theater. Although I will say they seemed to be loving it.
I had 3/4 of a full theater.
Wow.
And they loved it. And
So
I think that adds
probably
to it.
helps when
Yeah.
there's people laughing at the absurdity and everything. But going back to my point though, so I think with Tim Burton you would get a little bit more like playful camera work, and just the set design might be a little weirder or something, because it looked like it was trying to be a Tim Burton movie.
Yeah.
But it didn't have that overall feel. Like it didn't
Right.
nail it. It was like, that looks like Edward Scissorhands light, but it's not. It doesn't feel like it. And then the other thing is, well, maybe Diablo Cody's script wasn't that bad, but you need people who can deliver it
Right.
in a zany, like
Yeah.
it's all about the delivery, right? We've talked about that, like with Heat is probably one of the prime examples. They do a line for line, shot for shot remake of that diner scene.
Yeah.
And you see two guys sitting there at a diner, and it's like, okay, I mean, that's fine dialogue.
and they're both capable actors.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Like, because that scene was originally used
For a TV movie,
in
wasn't it?
in a TV show, right?
Yeah, it's
and
Crime Story.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
it. And like those actors are both solid
Yeah.
actors, still working to this
like
day.
it was fine. It wasn't ever
Who was it? Dennis
bad.
Farina.
No, it wasn't even anybody at that level.
Oh, okay.
It was like just character actors who pop up in things all the time, but have never really broken out.
Got it.
So like, but they're good.
Yeah, and
But-
it's fine, but it
they're
never
not.
pops. It doesn't.
They're
Pacino
not
and De Niro.
Pacino
Right.
and De Niro.
And
right?
so it's just that difference. But I liked a lot of actors in this movie, though. I do really feel this is a weaker script by Diablo Cody. Like, I feel like her scripts are so good. She's written so many great movies. And this movie just, to me, feels like it just doesn't have quite the bite. Like, the things she's trying to do is social commentary. To me, I'm like, they made Promising Young Woman. Like, there are things where I feel like coming after a movie like Promising Young Woman, you're trying to get revenge on people and stuff. I'm like, this also feels like an imitation of other better
Man,
movies.
I don't know. I mean, I hear you. But the revenge thing. The first kill is an accident. Like, I don't think that neither one of them intended to kill the mom. I think he meant to hit her, but
Oh.
not kill her.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
But I don't think that it's a revenge.
Well, she's killing all the people in her life that have wronged her in one way or another.
Well, she only kills. Well, she doesn't kill anybody.
Well,
I'm just
yeah,
saying.
but
like
yeah,
Saw.
but
That's exactly
I don't know about that. I mean, we can get into it when we talk about the plot. But
I mean,
she does cut the guy's hand off.
she lures him
she's-
to his death.
you're telling me that's not killing? Like, that's, you would get.
She would be just as culpable
Yeah.
legally.
for that one. Yeah.
Because she lures that kid to his death.
Well, that's what
Yes.
I'm saying. You can't say you said anybody when that she's just as she
She'd
knows
be an
what she's
accessory
doing.
after the
That
fact
is
for the
correct.
stepmother. She would be culpable
For the kid.
for the kid.
And then I
that-
don't think she would be culpable for the not boyfriend. That was all him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but connecting the dots, she would probably still get charged for that one after all the other two. But I'm just saying, like, you tell a court, oh yeah, I killed or knew about killing those other two, but this one was a surprise. Don't
Well,
charge me for that
I mean,
one.
It was kind of a surprise.
No, it was, but
which
tell
had
it- the court's gonna-
great reaction in the theater.
But the court isn't going to go,
Fantastic.
oh yeah, that third one. Like, they're going to be like, yeah, BS. You know
Right,
what he
right,
was doing.
right.
Like, so
I could see a jury not convicting though.
I could as well.
Like be like guilty on the first two, but not that one.
Not that one.
Yeah. So instead of doing 180 years in prison. You will do 150 years.
Congratulations.
In prison. Well done.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the things I liked about this movie. I liked the music. I loved the
Yeah.
80s. I thought it felt very authentic 80s, right? Especially, I mean, this
Except
is a,
White Diamonds came out in 1991. I just
Of
need to point
course,
that
of
out.
That's fair.
Science.
That's
like
fair.
I was like,
Yeah.
White Diamonds did not exist in the 80s, so
Yeah.
the mother could not have been wearing that perfume.
That's funny.
Even though, like, I get why she left it in because it was spot on when she gets to White Diamonds. Like, yeah, she's a bitch.
That was a great
That
line.
might be the best line in the
That's
movie,
a
yeah.
fantastic line.
Yeah.
but I really liked the look of it. I agree that it was trying to like kind of imitate Tim Burton, but I liked the overall vibe of like, oh, this is 80s. It felt like something like a Heathers or just an 80s coming of age kind of outcast loner type movie, and I thought that lead actor was fantastic. What's her name? I've
Oh.
never seen her before.
Yeah, you have. She's Cassie. She's Cassie from Ant-Man.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair, but she was little and didn't
No,
really.
she's the new Cassie.
Oh, she's the new one?
She's the one in the
Okay.
third one.
Kathryn
Gotcha.
Newton.
Kathryn Newton.
Yeah.
I thought she was phenomenal. She has that thing like Lily James has. She has it to me. I think that she is fantastic.
We should go back and listen to that Ant-Man episode and see if you talked to her.
I don't think I did.
No, I don't-
No,
I- no.
I liked her in that,
Yeah.
but I just to me like that's a very small role. She's not carrying the movie. She's
She's there, but she's the third lead.
Yeah. And so
Maybe
like
in the fourth
this
lead.
movie she carries this movie.
Yeah.
Her co-star, her co-lead doesn't talk, right? So she's carrying most of this movie, and she's got this quirky personality, and she's fun. I just think she carries herself well. Anyway, I thought she was phenomenal. I think if she weren't in the movie, or if there were a weaker actor in the lead, this movie would be unwatchable. So I think she really makes this
Man,
movie.
I don't think it's that. I don't see that at all. I
I
don't.
love when we're all at three different points on the
It's
spectrum.
happened. It's happened like
Yeah.
the last three
Like,
movies.
you hate it, you love it. And I was like, it was okay.
Yeah.
I think this movie is weirder than Saltburn. See, when people say Saltburn's weird, this is a
Oh.
weird movie. Not in a bad way, but like I'm watching this movie and I'm like, this is weird.
It is.
Like,
It is weird, but I also these are the kind of movies that I remember watching as a kid.
Yeah.
Like where they are just like these weird 80s horror comedy.
Fred's dead.
No, what's the one with
Drop Dead Fred?
Yes, Drop
Drop
Dead.
Dead's what I meant, yeah.
Yes, Drop Dead. That's a weird movie.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that is a.
And I like weird. I was thinking about it. I'm like, Saltburn's grounded. Like, yes, there are things that are
Well,
peculiar.
and
in
I
it,
think
but
that's what makes it weird, right? The fact that it's grounded in reality, where this movie is not grounded
At
in
all,
reality.
yeah.
So, like, when it does weird things, like
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
it doesn't feel as weird.
Where in Saltburn, you're like, these are real people doing some weird
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
But there was some things that I think are attributed to the director of just not having the experience. I'm not trying to be insulting, but being a first film, there's some things that just go on and on and on in this movie. The beginning of this movie, like it's not till about 45 minutes in, I checked the time and I'm like, okay, this is picking up, this is getting interesting. But the setup with the mom and the sister, I remember there were times with the sister, she's just talking and talking and talking. I'm like, just cut this and move on to the next thing.
I don't disagree with you. I feel like this movie did, for me at least, it moved pretty quick.
I thought it was a drag until it got into it.
The reason I felt like it moved pretty quick is because I remember sitting there and enjoying it, and at the draft house, right, they give you your check with like 20 to 15 minutes left in the movie, and they're just so like I'm watching the movie, and then all of a sudden here comes the gal with the check, and I was like, how much is left of this? Like, are we really like 20 minutes left to go? Like this is, but I think that character, the stepsister, does kind of remind me of the vapid characters like in Heathers, like the three Heathers with the, Shannon Doherty is one of them, but there's really nothing to them. And the sister isn't really like a main character. I mean, she's there a lot, and she's circling.
I disagree. I think she's a main character.
Well, I guess what I mean is like we're not focusing on her. Like the story is Lisa's story.
Yeah.
And Lisa is it's what that's a reference to, right?
What's that?
What's the name of Kelly LeBrock in Weird Science?
Is that Lisa?
Lisa.
Oh.
Like this is
I thought it was supposed to be Lisa Lisa
no,
Frankenstein.
she's named after Lisa from Weird Science.
Oh, okay.
Like, and that's because Diablo Cody, I guess she's like, I love that movie. And this is kind of like Weird Science as well.
That was the way to not get sued by Lisa Frank.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the Lisa, Weird Science. Yes,
Weird
Lisa,
Science is great.
But I figured because of the colorful, it's 80s and
Right.
colorful.
But she's
that
not
it's Lisa
colorful.
Frank.
Our
right,
character
but
she's
the
on.
Lisa
80s
Frank
the
is
80s
very
and-
synonymous with
That's true. No, she
Trapper
was named after
Keepers
Lisa
and-
from
yeah.
Weird Science.
Okay.
But so I don't know. I felt like she is kind of boring but very over the top 80s.
But to be clear, I don't dislike the actor that plays the sister. I just mean I think the writing and the directing is off. I think that they should have cut more out. I don't, there were just parts of it that dragged to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is where you cut in a scene. Like there was some dialogue that just went on, and it wasn't that useful to the story. It was just like, come on, just go. Also, the thing I thought was kind of weird is that Lisa, the main character, so she's now, her dad is remarried and she's a part of this new family, and it's because the mom was killed by an axe murder.
Oh man, that's great.
But
like
it
that's
never comes
It
back.
never comes back.
You would think that all of a sudden the axe murderer would come in, the zombie would kill him. Like there's
I
no
thought-
I
through
thought
line.
it was going to be her.
Or yeah, I thought.
I went through 3 permutations. At
Yeah.
first, I thought, well, the dad killed.
then I
her.
was thinking there'd be some
Like,
element like
because
that.
when
yeah.
when the sister is going on about how they met 6 months later
Yes,
and got
yes,
married, I
yes.
was like, oh well, it was all a setup,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And the dad is so unsuspecting.
But then as soon as you see the dad, I was like, okay, I don't think it's the dad. Then you see the stepmom, and I was like, well, maybe the
she's the
stepmom
killer,
did
yeah.
it. She's a real ball buster.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I had a moment where I thought, well, maybe Lisa did it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm like, but she is mourning the loss of her mother too
Yeah.
much. Like
Right.
she, is.
But there could be some kind of a break there
But okay,
somewhere.
yes, but to me, that whole thing is right out of those wackadoo 80s horror comedies. Like they just have this thing in there and then it's never talked about again.
Yeah, I guess to me this movie feels tonally off. I really liked it when it actually got more weird, and then the killing and all that stuff. I'm like, okay, this is crazy. Like, okay, this is okay, but the movie does not start off feeling like it's that type of movie, and so when it takes the shift, I feel like it's jarring. There's just this shift that happens where I'm like, I don't think.
That's so interesting because I didn't feel that at all. I
just
felt
feel like
like it
this
was a
movie
natural
doesn't-
progression
Interesting.
of
I felt
Lisa.
like she shifted
I
too
think
quickly. Like
Oh.
all of a
That's-
sudden
I'll
she
give you that.
becomes a badass, and there's not really any kind of impetus for that.
When
like,
she puts him in the tanning bed for the first, when they kill the mom, the
Yeah.
stepmom and then they put him in the tanning bed, there is, I will agree with you. There is definitely a quick shift.
she goes from nothing to kill her.
To cool girl.
But it was
Yeah.
an accidental death. Like if you could see it leading up, where somehow she's like, I'm gonna get revenge on these people or something. Like if there were any inclination,
what they needed, I think, is an "it's alive" scene, right? Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
because
sure, sure.
Dr. Frankenstein. I don't know if you know this, but the monster's not named Frankenstein.
His name is Adam, actually.
Yeah, but Dr. Frankenstein, like, he becomes kind of drunk on power, right? Like when he realizes, holy shit, I can bring people back to life.
Yep.
Right. And so, like, we needed a moment of that, and that's where I feel like a better director would have given us some sort of moment of her recognizing, like, I've got crazy powers.
and
right?
also she's
I could see
way
that.
too
I control life and death.
she
Yeah.
way too quickly accepts that the guy breaking into her house is this alive monster. Like it does not take her by 1 ounce of surprise, not one iota. Once she goes and she's just like, "Oh, hey, come up to my room."
Have you seen My Boyfriend's Back?
Probably a long time ago.
I mean, it's the exact same thing. Like, and what I mean, so the premise of that movie is, it's this guy, his boyfriend dies. He comes back. He comes back as a zombie, and then, but his girlfriend is immediately like, "It's cool."
But
Like,
she knows him, so at least there's I mean, I know that's weird, but we're talking about weird movies.
Yeah.
There's a familiarity. What I'm saying is that her mom was killed by an axe murder. 2 years later, a crazy guy breaks into the house. She would be traumatized, going through all this PTSD, and then he's chasing her around. It's a funny scene where she's hanging off the hold on, she's hanging off the roof, and then she comes back inside and he's sitting there messing with a shoe phone. She's
But
like,
do you think that's the
"Oh,
same
yeah,
guy? I did not like. That's where I did have an issue with that.
You
Where
think there's a different murderer?
I don't know because
No, he's
when
all
we
muddy.
see that,
He's muddy, and it's like cleaned up. He's just muddy and messy.
but so in that scene, right? She's hanging off the porch or off the roof. She falls and lands on him, and then she stands up and goes inside, and then he's already inside.
Yeah. He had wandered. Well, again, that's bad editing.
That's
or
where I was like, wait, who is that
That's
guy?
what I mean. It was very weird, first of all, the way the movie presented. But if this movie dropped the ball on there was another murder and he ran away and never addressed it, this movie's 10 times worse then.
I just thought it was
you know
weird
what I'm saying? That would be
because like
horrible.
the way that when we see this thing for the first time, it looks like the rubber poop monster from Dogma.
Yeah.
Like it's just mud
caked in
caked
dirt.
in dirt. And then
Because they edited out him cleaning it off or something.
I guess.
But do you realize though that would be terrible
I think
if that through line just
I don't
disappeared.
I don't disagree.
there was
because I was
another
like,
murder in the house and
Yeah.
he never comes back and we never address
what
it.
happened to that guy? Like,
But no, it's him. But so then she wanders and she's like, "Oh, that's my dad's shoe phone. Okay, come upstairs, crazy murderer." Who I just was.
She knows it's him because he's got the necklace that she left at the grave.
He
Yeah.
showed her upstairs after she brought him.
I thought
up
he
to the
was
bedroom.
wearing it.
No, he then goes like this. She goes, "Oh, my rosary. Oh, you're the guy." That's later. She accepts him and brings him upstairs after just being chased around by a PTSD crazy murderer that broke into her house. It's just weird. She's scared and she walks in and goes, "Oh, that's my dad's shoe phone." Like,
See,
why
man,
would you be in that mode? Why would you?
No offense. I think you are thinking about this way too hard.
And I think a better director would have put this in like a sillier, more fantastical
Right.
world.
I don't disagree.
That would make
Yes.
people not ask these questions.
But you were willing to give Argyle the benefit of the doubt about the
it's a
book
book.
stuff.
Yeah, because it's a book.
But I will also say, even though I think I probably like this a little better than Argyle did a much better job of creating a silly, fantastical world.
That's fair.
I never for one moment thought that this was even adjacent to normalcy.
You thought what was adjacent to him?
Argyle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so this movie though, about 45 minutes in, again, once the killing starts happening, it gets so weird where I'm like, oh, this has got a weird vibe to it. It is more fantastical, and I was more on board. But
Sure.
that beginning of the movie, they set it up and it feels so grounded, and so I'm just gonna say stale. But it's just there's this like there's no score going on in the background. It's quiet. It's that thing where you're just like not being taken into the world. You're just watching this kind of bland thing play out. And then all of a sudden it takes this shift and it's jarring to me because I don't see how a character would accept this again. And if it was a weird, quirky world from the beginning,
Right.
then I'd be like, oh, well, this is all silly, so it doesn't really make sense. But
Yeah, like think of what the suburbs look like in Edward Scissorhands, right?
Sure. Yes.
And in this one, theirs is the only house that looks weird or different, right?
Yes.
All
No,
the other
yeah, yeah,
houses
yeah.
look perfectly normal.
I think their house even on the outside looks normal.
no, because
Oh, it's a little-
It's all pink on the outside.
Was it?
Yeah, it's got.
I thought of Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah.
Immediately, I'm like, well, they're trying to make the house look like the
Sure.
weird houses of Edward Scissorhands.
Yes.
But yeah, so there's just something about it. I wanted to like this movie. I like the craziness when it picks up. I like the look. I like the music. I like the vibes. I feel like, oh, this is a cool, chill teen comedy, whatever. Like, but yeah, it just took me out of it when they would make these shifts that just didn't seem to.
You know what this kind of reminds me of? This is gonna be kind of a weird thing to compare it to.
Do it.
It reminds me of Cop Out.
Oh yeah.
That's a great, that's a
Because-
very interesting comparison.
Because Cop Out wanted to be this throwback to 80s action movies. They
Yeah.
even bring back Harold Faltermeyer
Yeah.
to do the score, but like it just doesn't get there. And like I think I liked Cop Out about the same as I like this. I liked what it was trying to do.
Yeah.
But it just didn't quite get there. Now in that case, I don't know that I blame the director.
Can't.
I
Well, I mean, you can.
I
but-
blame Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Well, can we?
Yeah.
At this point, I guess he's still with
Yeah.
his facilities at that point.
I think
Yeah,
so.
you
He's
can't.
totally with it.
like like I'm just like I don't subscribe to this when it's a movie I've never heard of that went straight to VOD,
Sure.
like whatever, I don't even consider those real. But like when he's making movies like Cop Out and stuff, he was
Red.
Cop
yeah.
Out was before
That
the Red
last-
1 and 2, right?
I think
it's in
so,
that.
yeah.
It's in that
And-
time frame. Yes.
or that last Die Hard movie. Like
boy.
those weren't.
There were
they
real movies in
and
between,
like
yeah.
look. Let's, with all due respect to Bruce Willis, who's made some great movies,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he was great when he wanted to be.
I think you're absolutely right.
Same year as Red.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was notorious for decades for like, oh, this one's for a paycheck, and phoning it in. That is not something you can blame on the aphasia. Like
No, that's true.
He was doing that for years, so I am not going to rewrite history to forgive him for every third movie being a lazy actor
No.
and just taking the money.
I think there's definitely a point where you're just like, I mean, he stopped starring in big theatrical movies,
Right.
And I do think that's where it starts.
Yeah,
Sure.
But I agree with you. Is am I gonna blame the what's it called? Aphasia?
I think it's called aphasia. Yeah.
Am I gonna blame striking distance on aphasia? No, I'm absolutely not.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this movie starts. We were introduced to Lisa and her sister, Taffy. And I realized the movie that I didn't like was Tully.
I love Tully.
Not young
Tully
adult.
is so good.
I did not like Tully.
See, I did not like young adult. I love Tully.
did not like that one.
Loved it.
Um,
Do you like Tully? I thought you liked it.
Yeah, I did. I was getting them mixed
I don't
up
want
for a
to
second.
spoil it, but
Yeah.
there's kind of a twist with the...
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like Tully. I
thought the movie was great.
Yeah. But I liked young adult. Now I
did like young adult.
I came
I got
to
them
young
mixed up.
adult like it came out. I didn't see it. Everybody trashed it. I watched it years later. And went into it. I was like, I've never seen this. It's the only one that of hers that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
And I was like, let me sit down and watch it. It was during COVID when I was working overnights in a morgue, and I was pounding
I
through.
forgot about that.
I was pounding through movies and TV shows like crazy.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about weird? I'm in an abandoned industrial park in a surge morgue with a room full of dead bodies.
Yep.
10 feet away from me, and not knowing really what it's about, I decided to watch Last Man on Earth.
Oh, perfect.
Which is great.
Yeah.
But like,
Whoops.
a little weird.
That is weird.
It's a little weird.
I when it comes to Diablo Cody, I wonder if she is 15 steps ahead of everyone, because I feel like her movies
They all catch up.
They
Yeah.
catch up, right? Jennifer's body got on.
Yeah.
And then
I would just like to go on record, and it's probably over on Review STL, my written review of Jennifer's Body. I loved it.
And that's what I mean.
gave it a great review.
as I think
That was her second movie. Now that's
No.
wild. Yes. Juno, Jennifer's Body,
Oh,
then Young Adult.
okay.
I mean, then there's Paradise. I've never heard of it.
I think she did some TV stuff.
Ricky and the Flash. Yeah, that's skipping the TV
Yeah.
stuff. But
I didn't realize she wrote Ricky and the Flash. That
Yeah.
looked bad. I never saw it.
and then Tully, and then Lisa Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
I didn't realize Jennifer's Body was her second
Yeah.
film. Jeez.
But she didn't direct that, right? Did she?
I don't think
She
she's
doesn't
directed.
direct movies.
Yeah,
She doesn't- I would say
just a
she hasn't
writer.
directed anything, yeah.
Okay. She comes out of the gates, I mean, like a ball of fire with Juno.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
and
my gosh. Yeah.
she's got Elliot Page and Michael Cera and J.K. Simmons, and I can't remember who the mom is.
Oh, it's what's her?
Jason
Allison
Bateman?
Janney?
Allison Janney. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jason
Bateman,
Bateman and
because-
Jennifer Garner.
Yes.
Yeah, Michael Cera.
Yeah,
That movie's so good.
that movie is.
It was funny because that was right as Arrested Development was out, and Michael Cera and Jason Bateman were both in the movie,
Yeah.
but they made a point to never put them on screen
And
together.
Jason Bateman is a very different character.
Jason Bateman's always played smarmy douchebags.
Do you remember him in that movie where he's pretend to be in the wheelchair or whatever? I hated that
No.
movie so much.
Jason Bateman?
Yeah, he plays the jerk or something, and he's
Is that the one that, like, the TikTok clip that was going around about him talking to some gal at a restaurant?
Let me look it up. So,
is it the bad, the one where he's like trying to win the spelling bee or whatever? Is it
that
one?
might be?
I think it's called Spelling Bee.
He played a jerk in this movie, and I'm like, this movie's so bad. I always think of him in that.
He plays the smarmy guy, but he always does have that little, like, heart of gold.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're just like, you're kind of a dick, but I like hanging out with you. Not in Juno.
Yeah.
Not at all.
But they head fake you.
they do.
Right? Because
They
you
do.
like him for
Yes.
a good chunk of the movie.
And you're like, oh,
And then they
no.
pull the rug out for
The
you.
X with Zach Braff.
I've never seen
No,
that.
I've never seen that either.
He's a jerk in that movie, and
But I think we've seen that before, where a writer writes this script and gets the right cast at the right time, and
Yeah.
it is
And the right director.
Jason Reitman.
yeah.
yeah. Do you
Yeah.
remember? I mean, that 1, 2, 3 punch right there,
Man.
Juno, thank you for smoking. Up in the air.
Oh, is that right? Man, he was firing all
3 for
cylinders.
3, and they were
Yeah.
all phenomenal.
Yeah.
He left out Labor Day. He was 4 for 4.
See, that's the reason I mentioned 3 for 3. That's why
then
he fell so far on Labor Day.
And then what do you do after Labor Day? Ghostbusters? That can't.
No.
He had to do
No,
something else in between there.
Didn't he direct that Adam Sandler movie?
I think he did. I never saw
the
that
big
one.
blue ball or something like that.
Yeah, I never saw that.
It was bad. It so wanted to be profound, and it was just like, I mean, they might as well called it Live, Laugh, Love. Like, it was bad.
He did The Front Runner with Hugh Jackman. Remember?
I did like that one.
It was good.
That was good.
Yeah, that was.
I watched that during COVID. I remember that.
But that was a bummer though when he did.
Yeah.
Leap Year.
Well,
I'm like,
look, man.
What is this?
You gotta, fail sometimes.
Yeah, no.
Makes you-
Bats
keeps,
1,000.
keeps you humble.
No, for sure. But it was just such a weird.
But she comes out of that, and it is, I mean, it's a perfect movie.
Yeah, it's great.
It's fantastic.
It's great.
And sometimes I feel like that happens to a writer, and they're just trying to recapture that.
Yeah.
And they can't. Where I feel like she, for
Labor Day. Did you say leap year?
No, I said Labor Day.
Okay.
But you also hated Leap Year.
I hate leap year.
Yeah.
Which one's that?
That's the one where is it Amy Adams?
I think
goes
so.
to
When they
Ireland?
go to Ireland,
And
it's like a
Matthew
rom
Smart,
com, but
or-
with no rom or
What's
no
the time
com.
traveling one with
The
Happy.
Domhnall Gleeson?
time traveler's wife.
No,
No.
where he like.
The one where you don't actually see any time travel.
Yeah, he goes in like a closet. And
Yeah.
that's how he. But okay, I don't know. Why
I know
got
exactly
that
what
one.
you're talking about,
Yeah.
but I'm blanking on it.
So I do feel like
I'm just having PTSD. All these was a Labor Day, leap year, all the ones that I hated.
you said leap year. I thought Aloha.
Oh,
I've
that
never
was
seen
Bradley
Aloha.
Cooper,
Bradley Cooper and Emma Stone.
Cameron. It's
And she
Cameron.
plays-
Crowe.
Cameron Crowe.
and she plays Hawaiian or
Something
something.
She's
like
like
that.
half Hawaiian, half Asian.
Got all
I think.
this,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah. And
she's
you get
neither
Emma
of either.
Stone.
Yeah.
like the ginger. Like
Yeah.
sorry.
She could have dyed her hair.
She could.
I don't know.
Done
I
anything.
think she's a blonde naturally. I think the redhead is not her natural hair color.
What is she like?
You know, how sometimes
Like-
you see her with
like,
blonde hair. I
shit,
think
who
that's
was Donna Pinciotti. Laura Prepon.
yeah. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think I found out because she was started off and she was always a redhead,
Always
which
a
is kind of her
redhead.
thing. But I don't think that's her
I
natural.
think
hair
I think she
color.
was a blonde in Easy A, and everybody's like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, and she was just on the curse. She doesn't have red hair. So
interesting.
I don't know. I don't think that's her natural.
Oh, huh.
But
So yeah, I do think that like she is, for whatever reason, her movies, her scripts at least, are 20 steps ahead.
Yeah.
And then they come out and they kind of get on some
Yeah.
and then
And then
within
people
like
come
5
back and
years
go,
they're like,
"Oh,
"Oh, wait a
that's-
minute."
Yeah.
You know, and
this
I
might become a cult classic.
This
but
is
I
going
don't-
to be-
But I don't think critics are going to come around and say that movie was really good. So
is that but so here-
49% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. I left it because I usually don't look up the scores. I actually didn't watch a trailer. I didn't know anything about the plot of this movie, not one thing. So I didn't know what to expect at all. And then I looked up the Rotten Tomatoes. I go, am I crazy? I'm like, this was not it. And it was at 50% at that time. Like, okay.
I also think, I don't know, I have gotten to a point with critics, professional critics, not anybody at this table, where it's like, not everything has to be a Christopher Nolan movie.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, you can accept the fact that it's, is. So a movie like this, I just think needs to be graded on a different scale.
But I think critics know that too, because we've seen fun movies come out where people don't grade it and go and talk about, oh, well, the whatever, the lighting and the cinematography. Like, first of all, Rotten Tomatoes is now comprised of a lot
That's
of
true.
not professional
Yeah,
critics.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Not
Yeah.
getting paid for it. But, so
No,
I mean,
you're
they're,
right, you're
they're
right.
good. There's a lot of great writers, but they opened the doors to a lot more, just from diversity and different voices. So you're not getting just Entertainment Weekly and the New
or
Yorker
the
and
Washington Post.
but
Or
yeah,
whatever,
these are people that have blogs and movie review sites, Review STL, and a lot of our friends that are on Twitter that do movie reviews. So you're getting a lot of different voices now, and they're still people that like fun movies and everything. So I don't know. I don't know.
No, I hear you.
I mean, I'm a big believer in judging a movie on what it wants to be.
Yeah, for
That's,
sure.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, you gotta meet a movie where it's at.
Yes.
I don't want everything to be Citizen Kane.
Right.
No.
Right? Like
No.
it's like it's great when something is, but like I also want Caddyshacks to exist.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And credit to this movie for being different. I mean, I appreciate that a movie like this exists out there. I appreciate that there are people writing these quirky, strange stories and that this movie got made. And I don't know if because Zelda Williams was behind it. Like, I don't know what the impetus was for this being greenlit.
Well,
first time director.
I think you put Diablo Cody's name on something, somebody's going to greenlight it.
I think if that was true, we'd see Diablo Cody movies a lot more frequently.
Yeah.
Oh, I
She
mean, I
hasn't
think
written
maybe
that
that
many.
depends on her, though, right? Like maybe it's her.
I think if people were throwing money at her, she'd learn to
That
write a
could
lot
be.
faster.
That
Like,
could
right?
be.
Like, I think, you know.
And this movie didn't go to Jason Reitman. It went to first-time director Zelda Williams, right?
Yeah.
So, again, I'm not saying like she didn't want Zelda to direct it, but my point is that
It also makes me wonder, what's Juno look like if it's not in the hands of Jason Reitman?
right.
You know,
Maybe he's the one that's elevating the
maybe
material.
maybe we'd be having this, or Kevin and I would have had a similar reaction to Juno that we had
Yeah.
to this. Where like,
maybe.
you
How
know,
much
like
of his direction goes
yeah,
into play?
because the dialogue in that movie is very stylized,
Very much
right?
so.
And so,
Yes.
in the hands of a lesser cast, in the hands of a lesser
director,
director,
you have to know how to direct the cast to do that properly.
Right.
Does that movie like? Is that movie problematic now,
why?
given Elliot's transition?
I mean, I
Well,
don't
you can't
think so.
change the past.
I don't know. I'm just curious. I
I
don't
don't
know.
think so.
I have no idea. Like
I don't think so.
I don't think we have an actor
As well known,
at transition,
yeah,
and then like that. I mean, that role is she has to be a girl
right,
in that role, and now he is not.
yeah.
So I just wonder, like, is that like
I don't think you can retroactively, because if there was some kind of controversy surrounding a script, like he didn't want to do it or was being forced to, like if there were a controversy,
yeah,
maybe,
and it's
but-
not like Elliot Page has come out and disavowed
No, that's
the
true.
film,
That's true.
right? And so I mean, I think that's who he was at the time.
sure.
And that's a movie that he made at the time. Where I get confused is like the whole like, well, do I refer to him as Elliot when I'm referring to the role in that film? Because that isn't who he was.
That's true.
But
right?
I think I do think
This
that
is the
goes,
Ezra Miller thing, right? Because we would, when we're talking about Barry Allen,
right.
Barry Allen is
he
a
him,
dude, right?
Right.
But
But
Ezra Miller
is a they them. And I just mean that like, you know, yeah, like I don't know.
It's like Juno is a girl.
But Ezra Miller is always Ezra Miller, right?
Sure.
But when I'm talking about
a transition.
when I'm talking about a transition like this, when I'm referring to Juno, like
I think you say Elliot Page. I
think
think
it's-
it's dead
Elliot-
naming
yeah,
if
I
you
think-
don't.
Yeah.
that's I agree with you.
I
like,
think
I'm
it's
not trying to be a dick.
No,
I
no,
just
I just
like
I think it's
just
a
don't
gray
want to say the
area
wrong
where
thing either.
I think people would understand because you're not maliciously doing
Right.
it. If you were on the right doing a review and you just kept
Oh,
dead
Lord.
naming like
Right.
on purpose, but in this you're saying a different name as a star. But I think for courtesy and if you're trying to do the right thing, I would say that Elliot Page starred in that movie.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
just,
okay.
That's they are one person and that is their name
Right,
now.
right,
and
right.
They were in that movie and you know.
as a different person, but still the same.
But yeah, I think so. But I also want to point out Juno, first time director Jason Reitman. Look
Yeah.
how great that movie was.
That's true.
They
and
hit the ground running.
It does make me think if Jason Reitman hadn't done Juno, we'd have been like, why are they talking like that? This movie's trying too hard. Where
Stop trying to be Wes Anderson.
right or
Yeah.
something, but because he is really good and he just got that screenplay, he was able to convey it on screen. I feel like, unfortunately, in a way Zelda Williams couldn't. Even though overall I like this movie,
Yeah.
I think it could have been way better.
That's true. With somebody like Jason Reitman at the helm of this, it does elevate it. And I think about Thank You for Smoking, and I think about
That'd be so good.
Up in the Air, which oh man, I loved that movie so much.
Those three movies are
But-
phenomenal.
The dialogue in all three of them is very similar.
Yeah.
So I do think there's something to you saying that Reitman, Jason, did have it immediately
Yeah, he
with
knows how to-
with those three.
He knows how to direct that quick talking.
And now
quirky
he's like, hey man,
dialogue.
I'm just doing Ghostbusters, and I'm cool with it. Like,
Hey,
that's-
he's not just doing it.
what do you mean?
Oh, looks good. I mean, it's not just Ghostbusters.
Oh
Dang.
no. Yes,
That's a
yes,
big-
yes.
Hey, that's a lot of pressure. Think
That
about the
is a-
pressure he has from his dad's, the fan base. Like
Yeah.
that is a huge. But he did the last one, right?
He did,
And
yes,
it was
yes.
and it was good.
I really
So
enjoyed it. It
I'm
was definitely a
excited.
remake of the first
It
one,
was
but
a good story, but it wasn't funny.
that's
Yeah.
the problem.
And I will say this the last trailer for the Ghostbusters, I did laugh, but and because they finally looks like they're gonna let Paul Rudd be Paul Rudd,
Which is what we'll want.
which is what we want. Like you need, like it needs to be funny.
Yes.
Like the other one was so focused on like we have to preserve the legacy.
Nostalgia. And
yeah,
yes.
I think they will. Now that he got his, he got up to bat. He let's say maybe not a home run, but
He had a solid double.
yeah. I mean, but it was good, right? And the fan base accepted him back, into to carry on his
Wouldn't that
father's
be
legacy.
if they're like, no, you don't get Ghostbusters, and the Chase Ryman's like, what?
But I could see it though, because it's like you're not your dad, right? Like they're just because his dad did it. I mean, it would suck. It would feel.
And also,
I'm sure,
I think
but-
his dad. I mean, and I think Ivan Reitman has some amazing films to his credit. Doesn't hurt that he had Harold Ramis working with him.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like that helps.
Yeah.
Had Ghost Dad in this one. This is what that one. And spoilers for Ghostbusters.
What's the superhero movie he did?
Who's that?
Isn't it Ivan Reitman did that with Uma Thurman? She's a superhero.
Oh,
Is she like a surprise?
my super ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, she's a surprise superhero or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's fine. It's whatever. So we'll just. I mean, this one is very. The plot of this is very simple. Lisa is kind of lovelorn. She's very weird due to the axe murder of her mother. And she goes to a
I'm
party.
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, Roy. I don't think she's that weird, and that's why it's so jarring, because she seems like a sweet kid that's been through some stuff. She's quiet. I don't think she's weird in the
I
beginning.
think you have to look at this from the 80s perspective. In the 80s, she's a weird kid. She's a weird kid who
She's
isn't.
not.
I don't.
Yes.
I don't disagree.
I was there.
That's
See what I'm saying? She seems like a
I
quiet.
mean, this movie takes place in 1989. I was 19.
87?
89.
Okay.
She doesn't start
Because
dressing.
they go see Look Who's Talking. That comes out in 1989.
You're right, because they
Yeah.
don't. Well, that's weird. Why wouldn't they go see Batman?
Because it's not June.
They couldn't get it.
They're still in
They
school.
couldn't get tickets.
They're still in.
Oh,
Yeah.
But she doesn't start
Right on.
acting like the outcast until the killing and all that stuff.
Right.
That's what I mean. But I need some kind of impetus and
see, I don't think she starts. I do think she starts. She's quiet and she's into, like poetry and art and things like that. That I don't think her sister and the Heathers, which is I'm just going to refer to the friends as the Heathers because that's kind of
That's what
they're
they did.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. So I think she starts to become kind of the Madonna, punk rock chick after the first murder.
yeah, I agree with that.
And I do think she's socially awkward. She doesn't want to go to this party. Nobody's talking. They're all kind of like, "What are you doing?" She can't.
Well, she says,
they
I
make
don't want to change schools my senior year of high school. I mean, that's just I think that's relatable. It's
no,
not,
it is relatable,
you know,
but she's weird for this school because she is the outcast. She is the new kid. She doesn't have any friends.
Yeah.
The guy that she likes has this other weird.
Okay,
I didn't know where that was
That
going.
is a weird relationship. I cannot quite get a read on the jock being with
he wasn't.
the Heathers.
He wasn't with her. Like I think that she was like the friend who wanted to be with that guy.
But she seemed like she was jealous, or like,
She
hey,
was
Lisa, or
jealous
whatever.
because he was giving Lisa attention.
So they weren't together?
I don't
Because he
think
ends
they
up
were
sleeping
together.
with the sister, who is the cheerleader, the popular one.
Yeah.
I just could not. Did you get that dynamic between the like hot jock guy and the other
Well,
girl?
I thought that they were together, or Taffy had designs on the guy the whole time, because she was always being like, "What do you like?"
he means
but
the goth
she's
chick
like the white
who kind of
makeup and
kind of threw Lisa under the bus about the note.
the one that's being mean and like being mean to Lisa.
Who gave Lisa the spiked drink.
Okay.
the girl that's with the guy in every scene. I mean, she's always around this guy, and I thought they were dating.
I took it as she was like they were friends. She
You
wanted
don't even
to.
remember
No,
that
I don't-
character?
I don't-
Oh
Yeah,
my
there
God,
was
that's funny.
there was the goth chick that was always hanging around the guy.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
every time Lisa would show up, or this guy would give Lisa attention.
Yeah.
she would
She
kind
would
of
be jealous.
I thought it was his sister.
Oh,
This
where
is
did you get
hilarious.
that?
Well, because when he
Yeah.
comes into
Oh.
the dry cleaners or the tailor
She
shop,
pops up.
she pops up, and they were together, and so since it was never
That's
referenced,
so
I thought
funny.
they were like brother
Oh,
sister.
I
or
thought they
something.
were friends. I
I'm
thought,
like, why
I thought
else
they
are
were
they?
I thought he
together.
friend zoned her.
Yeah.
is what
my
I
gosh.
thought.
Well, that is a very interesting. I think this is very interesting for three people to interpret something that seems so basic.
I feel like there's a deleted scene.
Yeah.
There
Like,
might be.
right, that establishes who
Who
she
they
is
are.
a little better, because like
The
maybe
answer is she is his sister, and they are together,
yeah.
And he also friend zoned her.
and they cut it out.
Yeah, right.
but yeah, because I'm like, maybe that because he runs the
Newspaper or
literary
whatever,
magazine
yeah.
or whatever. Like maybe she's just a writer for the literary magazine.
That could be.
and or the co-editor or whatever.
I am gonna have to do some more research on
That's
someone
funny. That's
talks
funny.
about those characters because that's
Yeah, so they go. Taffy brings Lisa to this party. Lisa takes, trying to impress the jock guy. She takes a massive drink. She does not drink of whatever's in this cup, and it messes her up. It is. I know 10 minutes is.
Yeah, we're on the second scene of the movie.
We'll do this really quick. She the entire time though she hangs out at the Bachelor Cemetery, which I thought was a hilarious name for this cemetery.
Yeah.
And there's this one statue that she is kind of always drawn to, while she's all.
But it's Frankenstein, the real name, because she sketches it on a.
We only see like the K and the Stein. We don't see the rest of it.
Oh,
yeah,
so she
like,
writes in Frankenstein.
That's
I
what, that's
think
what
so.
I
That's a
because,
little
like,
better then.
because the
That's-
tombstone, like the front half of the name was
Okay.
gone.
Yeah.
I like that, and I do remember like in Cran or whatever.
She
it's like
writes
written in
Lisa, and then
Frank, but the Frank part is like more made up. 'Cause
Yes.
I'm like
it just
that
it
guy's name was-
does just say Stein.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So she wanders into the graveyard. She says like, "I wish I was with you," I think is what she says. And because she wishes in this weird storm, it resurrects this zombie. And I think this is kind of like Encino Man again. Like there's all these different like
Weird science.
I love Weird Science so much. It's so good.
Doesn't that happen? Doesn't lightning hit the computer, and that's what makes the?
No, they I don't man.
They actually do it. I thought lightning hit the house.
No, I think they actually do it. And then Kelly LeBrock. It's a fine. How do you do?
Talk about it. Did you watch the TV show too?
No.
I loved that. Oh, I loved the movie and the TV show.
Oh no, who was in the TV show?
I don't remember who, but it's just the same premise. But
Sure.
this girl, these nerds with the girl.
Man, that scene where she comes walking out of the thing.
changed you forever.
Good
Huh?
Lord. Yeah. When she's like, let's go take a shower. And they're in the shower, like she's like, why are you wearing your clothes? And they're like, I don't know. So he shows up, and then to your credit, to what you said, like he
explained it. It's a weird.
She's watching Dawn of the Dead, or Day of the Dead, not Dawn of the, she's watching the one in the bunker. Yeah, Day of the Dead with Bub, and this guy looks very much like Bub. And yeah, so she gets him all. She's trying to piece. He's missing an ear. He's missing an arm. She kind of freaks out about the whole thing and then shoves him in the closet. The relationship between Taffy and Lisa is fine.
Yeah.
Like they definitely love each other. They're
Taffy's
sisters.
a sweet
She's
girl. She really
I
is.
like that they didn't make Taffy a bitch.
I
evil
agree.
stepsister. Yeah.
I was thinking like
I kept waiting for that to take a turn.
Nancy Allen from
Carrie?
Carrie.
Yeah.
Like that. Just that awful.
Yeah,
But she never was.
She like
She
legitimately
does something that's not nice, but
you know what? That's not. But I don't really know that we can classify it as not nice.
the only thing I can say is that she knew that Lisa had mentioned more than once that she
Right.
was into this guy.
And again, the movie never makes this clear. I kind of got the vibe that
They were already
They were
together?
already a thing because Taffy from the get is steering her away from him.
That's true.
And she's like, I don't get what you like about him. And like,
That's fair.
That guy's a straight up hunk. Right?
Yeah, right.
Like, there's
He's got the leather jacket.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's got the perfect hair.
Yes.
Right? And
Yes.
so, like, there's no way a girl is looking at that guy and being like, I don't get it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, I mean
Right.
that's fair that she was trying to keep him for herself.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I think they were already a thing.
Already,
And she was steering Lisa away because she's like, she didn't want to create drama.
Yeah, that
and she
makes
didn't
sense.
want to hurt her feelings. But again, that's not really on the screen, so I am kind of writing that
That's fair.
for them.
Sorry. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Hold on, Gwen. Do you want to say hi on the podcast? Okay. So I'm going to point you at the camera and just say hi. I got
Hi.
FaceTime. All right, I'll talk to you when we're done.
She's like, I know how long these things are.
I know.
So the stepmom is horrible. She is the wicked stepmother, Carla
Very much so.
Gugino.
Yeah. She's always great.
And so she was in Son-in-Law with Pauly Shore. You mentioned
Yes.
Encino Man earlier.
Yes, that's right.
So that's
she
kind
was
of a funny.
Man, that's
I loved those movies.
crazy that's her.
Yeah, she's the.
I just think about her career in general. Like that's what, 92, 91?
Something.
Man, that's crazy.
I used to love Son-in-Law, Encino Man.
Hated those movies.
What? Not
I like Encino
Biodome.
Man.
I
Yeah,
Biodome
Biodome is the
I love those movies.
The worst.
Silly 90s. So they have a horrible relationship because she is horrible. The stepmom character is terrible.
Yes.
And she's very
She's
mean to
always
Lisa.
blaming Lisa for everything, and
And so during this break-in, a bunch of her stuff gets broken. She's already gotten in trouble for breaking a mirror after the party and the drunk situation.
Right.
So now she's throwing all these porcelain things at the monster, the creature, and then of course she gets blamed. She's like, "Oh, there was a break-in, but I'm okay. Don't worry about."
Yeah, I do like that. She's like, "It's fine. There was a." I think this line is great. She's like, "He was wearing a mask and a striped shirt and a really big hat." And Taffy's
That's the
like,
Hamburglar.
"I think you just described the Hamburglar." So Lisa's in her room. The zombie is in the closet, and the stepmom just starts going off. She's like, "You're a bitch," and you're a.
She was supposed to be at a conference, but she actually stopped because
the zombie spit a worm into her cottage cheese, and
that's another weird thing too, because it's like there was no one around, and she poured the stuff.
I did think that. I was like, why? Like, Lisa, why don't you just say, I was at school?
Yeah.
I wasn't even around you. Like, how are you going to blame me for that?
I know she's probably blaming her for saying it was in something and she didn't see it, but like she made the breakfast. It looked delicious. She goes to the door, comes back, and there's a worm in it.
It looked delicious. It was cottage
To her,
cheese and peaches.
whatever. To people that like that thing. I'm just saying that she finds the worm and then blames Lisa. It's like,
and then she gets sick. She's like, I went to work and I shouldn't have gone to work and I'm so sick. And it's like, well, you put the worm in your mouth. You didn't even chew it up. So the zombie, realizing that Lisa's kind of in trouble, hits the mom in the head with a sewing machine.
The creature is played by Cole Sprouse, who is a Disney actor. He was in that Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. He played Cody in that. So that's he's been around for a long time.
So somebody will recognize that guy. Nobody over the age of 25.
Yeah, I mean, people, right? People
Maybe,
in
I don't know.
their early 30s or late 20s grew up with Disney
I'm 40.
Channel.
I keep forgetting that part.
Yeah, I was like, I think they
No.
might be older than you're giving them
Yeah.
credit
No,
for.
it's like
when
I'm older.
It's like when people are always like, Taylor Swift's fan base are all 9-year-old girls, and I'm like, she's been around for 17 years.
You know him. You know him 100%.
Why?
He's the kid in Big Daddy. He and his brother did the Olsen
this
twins
is the
things.
kid. Is that right?
He's the kid in Big Daddy. He and his brother, because of the
Oh.
time limitations of child
I didn't
actors,
realize that.
switched, and there were 2 kids.
Okay.
him.
I do know that guy. Then.
Same.
Yeah. Very good.
So he's been around for a long
So
time.
he kills the mom and
Hits her in the back of the head with something
with
heavy.
a sewing machine, I
Yeah.
think.
And then at first I'm like, oh, she's knocked out. Because tonally, you have no idea
There's
this movie's
blood
going this way.
leaking
And then there's a
everywhere.
pile of
This
full
is
blood.
This
and I
is
go,
very
oh.
much Heather's
Yeah.
when they accidentally kill the first person, and it's like, oh, and then they get to the next two, and you're like, oh, this is real. Like,
Isn't that Jawbreakers too? Did that thing where they didn't mean to kill the girl and she chokes on a jawbreaker?
that is definitely a thing. I don't remember
That's
that.
kind
I
of
don't
another
remember
one
any-
that was like an inspiration. for
very much
Heathers
so.
and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, they like kidnap the girl or something and play a trick on her and put a jawbreaker in her mouth so she
Yes,
can't
you're
talk.
absolutely
and she chokes
right.
on it and
You're
dies, and
absolutely
they
right.
have to deal with the.
Natasha Lyonne?
I can't. Is it maybe?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I don't know.
Yeah, so they realize, that Lisa can sew, so he's missing these pieces of his body. So he's just kind of pointing at the ear, and she's like, okay, cool. And I do think that she's like, yeah, man, I'll chop that bitch's ear off, like no problem. And I do think it's
No,
funny.
he rips it off and gives it to her, and she's like, "I can't. That's not how it works." And then,
Oh yeah, that's right.
eventually
That's right.
she's like,
She sews it on there and
sews it on. It's
but
got
then-
the diamond stud.
Yes, which is very 80s. And I do, the Frankenstein element where he can't get it to work, but if we put him in the sunbathing thing,
I like that a lot. That was clever. How she goes to the tanning bed and it's like sparking.
Short
She's like, oh,
circuits.
this is messed up, and she uses that as the Frankenstein, electricity device, and it was clever. Like
It's
that's a very funny,
clever.
Yeah.
Then they realize, okay, we need to get you an arm. So earlier in the movie at the party, there was a kid who you think is the good guy, and of course he isn't. Where Lisa is incapacitated and he's got his
This
hand.
is Adam Brody or whatever from the Being a Promising Young Woman.
It is.
I mean, I'm just like, we've seen this in a better movie, and I'm not saying that you can't.
But you can do this trope. I mean, the trope
Sure.
of the nice guy who's not a nice guy.
Yes, but it's always harder, I think, when you've seen a better example and you're like I knew exactly what was going to happen
Yeah.
when he was trying to help her and
Right.
whatever. It's like it's a
There
little
was
creep.
one where I did not think it was going to go the way it was going to go, where he goes, doesn't that feel good? And I was like, dude, he's going to be like in between her legs.
Yeah.
Like that's where I thought we
Yeah.
were going, but it's just his hand on her boob and she reacts and he was, again, doing what nice guys do and calls her names. So she tricks.
Once you start, you can't stop. Like,
Yeah.
they're giving you reasons to not care that he dies, which
Well, yeah.
obviously in the real world, I mean,
That's fine.
murder maybe is not the answer.
Yeah, so she kind of lures him out into the woods, and he's like, what's going on here? And of course now the zombie attacks.
So she slipped a note in the locker
to get him to come.
and
yeah.
that girl is also the one that turns him in
For the note. Right.
But so she's like, check yes or no. Do you want to go hook up or whatever?
And we think she's sending the note to
the
cute
hunk,
boy.
yeah.
But and as soon as we see the little guy, I was like, oh, buddy, good luck.
Yeah.
So they cut off his arm, and of course he's like, what, and they show it, like, to their credit, like, and he's like, what's going on? This is crazy. And he's running away with like half an arm off, and the zombie picks up the axe and like flings it and hits him in the back of the head. And now they put him back, she sews on the arm, they put him back into the machine. And now every time he goes into the machine, he gets a little bit
less dead,
more
dead,
alive,
more human looking.
That's a good way
I
to put
thought they were going to use the machine to bring the stepmom back.
it.
Oh,
That's interesting.
I didn't know what they were going to do.
See, things could have gotten zany like that. They really could, where now you've got a zombie stepmom
Right.
trying to track him down or something. That could have been interesting.
Yeah.
But I did notice, like, at first his makeup is so caked on. He's very rubbery.
He's very zombie
And every
looking.
time he goes in the machine, like, it's alive.
take a little bit
He's-
of-
They're doing that so people won't accuse them of necrophilia, Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin.
Yeah, Joe, you're the one.
I didn't say it. You said it. So, and that's kind of how this movie progresses. She gets more and more comfortable being in this kind of crazy world. The mom is missing. Now the cops are starting to sniff around and figure out what's going on.
I will say, as soon as the stepmom's dead, she's like, oh my God, whatever. And then she takes her with a wagon and she's happy and like singing and cardio. She is comfortable with it as soon as the mom is dead.
Yeah. And
that's-
she's
it's
like,
just like a
I was
click.
cool with it because she was mean. And then, with Roger, whatever his name was, she's like, he was a little weirdo.
Because she carries herself differently when they're wagoning the stepmom to the cemetery. She's like skipping.
That's a really
and-
funny scene too that I liked, where they just kind of like whoop and like dump her in the grave. Now the police are sniffing around, and Lisa has decided we're screwed. Like we're gonna go to jail. We're gonna get caught. I want to lose my virginity to Hunky McHunkertons.
Yeah.
So she.
The creature's like driving around at this point.
Which is also kind of funny. Like, where did you learn how to drive? But
Yeah, I know. I was thinking that too. Like,
It was a weird one.
So he definitely has already fallen in love with Lisa. There's a very funny scene where he they're sitting in Lisa's closet, and he pulls out the back massager, and she was like, "Don't touch that part." Like, she's got his hand like on the knob.
Why? It's just a back massage.
Yeah, right. And then there's a scene also where he's trying. She's feeling all tense, and they're in bed together. And I think that the way she delivers this line, I think, is great. And she's like, that can go.
Sometimes people
put
don't
that in other
use
places besides their back.
And I like that. I mean, the weird thing is that they're high school kids, and I always think it's a little weird when you're
That's
doing this
fair.
stuff.
They're seniors, though.
True.
Doesn't matter.
But it's
They're
just
still 17.
Yeah, it's a little
And
weird.
he's not 70. He's
And
like
he's an
like 300 years
But-
old.
but
but
even
we don't know how old he was when
That's
he
true.
died.
That's
Like, he
true.
might be 19.
Right.
you know?
So I do like that at least after that little jokey scene, you never see like really anything sexual between them, but you cut to the parents hanging out on the dad and the sister, I think, are
She
sitting
goes, "Oh
watching
my
TV,
God."
and then a surge happens,
And you
because-
hear her scream.
and you hear and
Yeah.
they're just like, what? And it moving
Yeah.
on, but it was a funny little.
So they're going to Hunky McHunkerton's house. And this is the moment where I was like, oh no. And the boyfriend, the zombie sees the sister's car outside this guy's house. And so Lisa walks in and finds them together, and she kind of letting her have it. How could you do this to me? Blah, blah. The zombie comes in with a axe and chops this dude's dick off. And there's a hilarious scene where like
You see the silhouette of
it flying,
Yeah.
and then
Rotate.
like you see a ball like ricochet off of the trash can and into the trash can. And of course now this guy's dead. So and Taffy is losing her mind.
Rightfully
so. Yes. Our main characters kind of leave and go, they try to get Taffy under control, and Lisa has a really good speech with her. She's like, I'm really sorry. Like, I'm sorry that I took you for granted and that I wasn't a good sister, and I love you. And, Taffy is freaking
She's
out.
in shock. I do like how they play this.
Where she's not automatically accepting.
yeah.
She's like, oh my God.
And
then
I
as soon
will
as-
say that this is the only guy they kill that did nothing wrong.
He did nothing wrong.
The only thing he did wrong was not be attracted to Lisa.
Well, we don't know that he wasn't, but he was definitely seeing Taffy.
Well, he says,
said-
I mean, he says, I don't
He's
like
like, I
you
don't
like that way.
feel about-
Oh,
I
you're
don't
right.
feel that way
in that
about
moment,
you.
he does.
But
You're
he
right.
never wronged her, like cheated her or
Right.
led her on or anything. Like
Yeah.
he was a nice guy, so he's purely innocent. Whereas
Yes.
the other kid, not that the other kid maybe didn't deserve the axe death,
But
or maybe, but
From within a film construct,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, I don't
Yeah.
care if this guy dies.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
Like legally, yeah, it's
In
but
the movie, doesn't matter.
but this guy, the hunky Hunkerton, did not.
No, he did not deserve the
He's just
John
hooking
Wayne
up with the girl he hooks
John
up
Wayne
with,
Bobbitt
you know?
treatment. He did not get that. If you kids don't know who that is, Google him.
worse than John Wayne Bobbitt.
I guess they didn't reattach it.
Well, and John according to that silhouette, he cut off his
All of it.
dick and balls.
Yeah.
That's true.
Cut
That's
off
true.
the whole
The
thing.
shebang.
There's no adult film career waiting
no,
for this
there's
young
not.
man.
Isn't that crazy? Is that not
It's
crazy?
crazy.
So they go back to the grave, and again, there's a cop. They've quarantined. They've made this a crime scene already, and there's a cop there, and this zombie just picks her up and throws her.
That's
into
that's a real goofy one. Where it's just like,
I was rolling with it at that point. Like,
Yeah.
it is very goofy. You're right, but it's
does
just
that cop
like
have a gun?
yeah, and,
But it's a girl cop.
Yeah,
Oh,
come on.
okay.
And
I just thought that one was very strange. How easily she allowed herself to be picked up and then
Yeah.
didn't do any.
Nope,
cop
got tossed
stuff.
into a grave.
Yeah, it was weird.
Lisa and the zombie realized they both love each other. And like, we'll do this together. And he was like, can't. And she was like, what do you mean you can't? And again, like grabs her hand and puts it on his junk.
I
And
just wish they hit it a little more because clearly he chopped off the unit.
the fact that it's sticking out of his pocket, man,
That
that
was-
was hilarious.
But then why didn't she notice it sticking out? Of
I
his
think
pocket?
I mean, maybe
It
she
seems
did.
so
And she was just like,
obvious.
whatever.
She's a
No.
good girl. Eyes up here.
No,
Yeah.
it was a surprise to her. She was totally surprised by
So
it.
yeah, she sews on the dick and balls, puts him back into the machine, and now he's almost completely human looking.
Yeah.
And they have a good time. And
Well, he's
that-
a man now, Joe.
That's
His last
true.
part.
Yeah, the last thing he needed. So they have a good, they do their thing. They realize, Lisa realizes I'm like, there's nothing I can do. She,
What kind of message does this
I
send?
was thinking the
I was
same
left with
thing.
a really bad taste in my
Yeah.
mouth after this. So yeah, I did all this bad stuff. So just kill yourself. You'll be good.
Yeah, so she solves her problems with suicide.
Yeah.
Very
Like
problematic.
I was just like, ooh, like I get that like they're probably using the logic of like, well, it's not really suicide because we can bring her back. But like if you bring her back, she's still the same person and subject to laws. So that doesn't
Yeah.
really get you out of it.
Yeah, I
no,
thought
it's not
it
like
was
Double Jeopardy.
Right.
You
I
know?
thought it was just a very bad message. I just
Yeah.
I did not like.
it's
it.
tough
Like, what are
bec-
they trying to say here? It's,
Yeah, I don't know. Like I just took it as like, this is just a goofy, weird movie. But I don't think you're wrong.
Yeah.
What are you trying to say? So yeah, she hops into the tanning bed and they have her turn it, he turns it all the way up to
11.
bronze. Yeah. More bronze, I think is what it was called. And they set the whole thing on fire and all of the neighbors are like, she was the weird one. And
It was
yada,
Max
yada, yada.
Bronze.
Max Bronze, is that what it was? And we flash forward to like a couple years later and Taffy and the dad cracked my stuff up. He was great. He reminded me of, is it Clue Gallagher? Oh man, there was
He reminded me of the character that Jimmy Fallon. He doesn't play him, but the dad, like the dad that would like always come downstairs and be like, "Do you need?" And he's like dressed up as a girl, and he's like, "No, Dad."
L.
Yeah,
L.
the ooh guy, and he
Yeah.
plays him in the skit at the beginning
That's
of the ride
funny.
too.
Yes,
he reminds me of that guy, the dad that.
Interesting. No, there was an actor. He was in Nightmare on Elm Street 2. He played the dad in that. Who this guy reminded me a lot of.
I'm surprised that I know they want to put a bow on it. Now, like the dad and her are still a happy family, whatever. I'm surprised that the sister would visit the grave of Lisa after everything she did.
I think because that goes to show you that she is still a good person.
Yeah.
Is that she's willing to
Yeah.
go to the grave. And she sees on the grave something. We don't know what it is initially. But the dad, we're going to go to Fuddruckers. And I was like, Fuddruckers, holy. And then the camera pans down and on the side of the tombstone it says beloved wife. And there's two little like peach rings that they had used. And then we cut back to the park bench that we had seen earlier, and there's the zombie reading a book, and we see a bandaged up Lisa whose eyes open, and that's kind of how the movie ends. I had a blast with this. Like, did I think it was perfect? No. Did I know that this was definitely like a throwback to those old, like, again, if you into the salt mines, if you will, go find My Boyfriend's Back or Once Bitten or there was a babysitting one. Not the babysit. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
Yeah.
Or The Burbs. Like all of these kind of
remaking that.
No.
Yeah.
The Burbs?
No,
Don't Tell Mom the
the
Babysitter's Dead. That's unbelievable. There's always like
Weekend at Bernie's.
Kinda, but I mean, I would put Weekend at Bernie's in that category. Like it is this
Just because
weird.
the guy's dead and they're dragging
It's
him
a
around.
very weird movie. The fact that
It's fair. I'm not. They
Yeah.
made a sequel.
Two.
How did they?
Two?
No, there's one.
No,
sequel.
it's Weekend at Bernie's 2.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
that's what it's
I was
called.
like, there weren't two
How did
sequels.
they explain his body not being?
I don't know.
decomposed?
I think it was like
They-
wasn't it like a Jamaican curse or something.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Or
really?
they embalmed them. Or
It was some sort of voodoo thing.
That's funny.
That's so crazy. They could make a sequel out
Yeah.
of.
Hey,
them
man.
burying a dead- I loved those movies as a kid. I
Yeah,
thought
but so like, go check those out. This is again, we talked about Edward Scissorhands and Beetlejuice. It is very much in that world. I think this is a lot of fun. It's goofy. It's funny. The ending, I can agree that is a little weird.
I like the idea of it. I really do. I liked the soundtrack. I liked the 80s vibes of it. I liked her. Who is it? Kathryn Newton? Is that her name?
Yeah.
I thought she's phenomenal. I think that she's going to be a big star. I mean, in Ant-Man, she was fine, but I never really noticed her. But, like, she has the charisma. She has the riz, as the kids say.
Gotta tell you, didn't know what that meant until about a week ago.
She's really good, and I think that she's going to be a star.
Well, I think next week we all might have the same opinion.
You never know.
Oh,
Could you imagine?
That Dakota Johnson's going to be a star?
Yeah, well,
It's
yeah.
going to be one of the better movies. What if it does like Venom and makes $900 million?
It would not surprise
So
me.
here's the thing. This is the only reason I'll bring this up. There's one person in that movie that might get people into that theater, and that is Sydney Sweeney. I think she is more popular right now than anybody in
Euphoria?
that movie. Yes.
Is that what? Okay.
Yeah. She is more popular than anybody in that movie. And I just wonder if her popularity is going to generate revenue.
I wonder.
I don't know.
You know
I
what
have no
One is
idea.
Sydney Sweeney from Euphoria.
The blonde with the big boobs.
Oh, okay. Well, because there's the trans girl too.
Oh, sure,
and so,
sure,
like,
sure.
she's blonde.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
Hunter Schafer?
yeah.
I've never seen
And
it.
so I didn't know I don't know any of their real name except for Zendaya.
Fair. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. But I mean, like that Sydney Sweeney was on SNL like just recently.
Yeah.
So I guess so was Dakota Johnson.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if that will.
I don't
bump the
think so.
numbers up.
My prediction is it won't. I know that a certain crowd is going to go for Sydney Sweeney. Like, she's going to have that built-in audience, but I don't know anyone that's seen that movie and gone, well, it looks great. It just looks like such a joke.
It does
It
look
looks like an
bad.
SNL skit. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Oh, I get it.
it's supposed to look bad. Like,
Yeah, and like some of the footage I've seen of Dakota Johnson making the media round, she looks like a hostage.
Yeah.
Like she's just like
God.
Yeah.
she has to know what's coming.
Yeah.
She
had-
fired her agency
Did she?
after this.
Yeah.
No, she didn't.
Yes, she did. For real.
For real? I thought that was a joke.
No. She said after the article is like after this she was like done.
After they got her a Marvel movie?
This isn't a Marvel movie.
It's not a Marvel movie. It's
This is a Sony movie
Yeah,
that has
but
a
I'm just
Marvel
saying.
tag on it.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
it
though.
ain't
like,
a real Marvel
that ain't a
movie.
real
I mean, she probably got paid. I just can't imagine she fired.
But I think, yeah, you want to get paid, but you also want to build a career, and getting paid a lot for a movie that's going to be just a complete piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like that does not get you to the next level.
That surprises me that she couldn't detect it before she took it somehow. Like, that just seems weird to me. Like, oh yeah, you're fired because I did this.
Well, they
movie.
probably sold her a bill of goods too. They're probably
I
like, no,
wonder
it's
if
going to
they-
tie into Spider-Man, and we're going to
Yeah.
get this, and we're going to get that, and then they didn't get any of that.
Oof, it
and-
looks
yeah.
like that Halloween costume and that black suit.
Boy,
Spider-Man.
oh
Yeah.
boy.
So,
That's bad.
well, anyway, I guess that's it for this one. Let's go around the table, and everyone can say where to find them.
This is Joe. You can follow me on the Twitter at JoeyButts, BUTTS21, and at Letterboxd. They're the same.
This is Kevin. Follow me on Twitter at KevinRBrackett.
And this is Tom. You can follow me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at Facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online at Facebook.com/Real Spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and of course, don't forget our Patreon. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, Dobermans attack and kill Eddie.
Get ready for a spoiler. Won't Don't say it twice, cause we already